attention, right? First he unties his shoelace, then afterward, y'all there, y'all talking, and you going
Whatever. Yo, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast, Sports Talk with the Fan. I'm here with Hollister, Tyrone, and our friendly neighborhood spider, man, Menelik. And yeah, a lot of you guys don't know he fight crime at night. He's an avid Brooklyn Net fan. As you can see, he got the Kyrie Irving um jersey on. They play tonight at 10. But yeah, man, it's quite a bit to cover tonight. So we're gonna try to go through it. Obviously, we're gonna talk about the Floyd Mayweather, as my cousin Hollister has in his background, him and Jake Paul, and how much of a clown Jake Paul is. Usually I will go into my take, but I'm gonna let Spider-Man go first, and then we're gonna go Hollister, Tyrone. Actually, Hollister, myself, and then Tyrone, because Tyrone is the boxing guy, so we'll let him close it out. So
All right.
by all means, go ahead.
all right, yeah. So I saw this the other day. I was like, yo, is he for real? Like, I understand they like, pranksters and they trying to sell the fight and create all this kind of commotion, but it's like, all right, first you untie his shoe, right? That was playing some games already, right? Now later on, all right, yeah. So I saw this the other day and I was just like, what is he doing? Is I know they trying to sell the fight and you trying to be a prankster, a joker. His name is out there, feeling himself, a lot of hype, a lot of attention, right? First he unties his shoelace, then afterward, y'all there, y'all talking, and you going like snatch his hat and be like, you know what I mean? Like Floyd, a grown man, and he doing all this stuff. You not fighting, he ain't fighting you. Like, yeah, I know your brother is out there and he about to fight, but it was just like, what are you doing? It's like going a little too far. Like the dynamic ain't there for y'all to play like that. And yeah, I just think, he thought it was gonna be one way and he was probably surprised after when Floyd didn't, let it rock like that. So it probably did grant a little more attention. I know that I think they said they banned him from the fight or whatever. So I know Floyd was also saying he fight both of them in one night. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that whole Jake Paul thing, he just making things worse for his brother. Because Floyd is gonna beat him anyway. But Mayweather's daughter said it. She said, "You done fucked up now. Like my dad's gonna knock him out in the first round," which I knew was gonna happen regardless. But Jake Paul, like you playing games with a grown man. Mayweather has all his people, his security. Them security guys is like 6 foot plus tall. They heavy. And they knock him out. They don't grab him. I think Jake Paul might have got a black eye from that whole incident thing. And if he did, it's good for him. You're gonna take a man hat. I'm a hat guy. Like you take my hat, that's kind of like a disrespect, and you kind of deserve to get beat up for that too. Then he goes and get a tattoo saying, "Oh, on his leg, I got your hat" or something like that. This guy just doing all this for his Instagram followers, and he's just making things worse for himself and his brother. But hopefully, like Malik said, before you knock out both of them in the same night, that would be amazing if he was. I wish he was fighting Jake Paul actually rather than Logan, but Logan gonna get this work anyway, and then Jake probably gonna step up next. He got banned from that fight. Now he's Jake Paul trying to go at Uzman. Now he's trying to go at DC. Like, dude, come on, like you can't mess with none of these guys. They will destroy you with one punch. But he's gonna get what's coming to him real soon.
Yeah, facts. So, to me, the whole like y'all put me onto it. I saw the clips and it was like ridiculous. And it's like, first of all, Jake Paul is like a clout chaser. So now he's stealing the clout from his older brother who's supposed to fight Floyd. And you make it more difficult for him because you want to be the center of attention. And it gets to the point where it's like I said this to y'all, like these guys are like these YouTube guys, troll guys. Like this is not like high school when you do like these little bullying tactics and try to snatch somebody's hat and like run around in class and stuff like that. Like you said, Floyd is a grown man. People don't understand. Like Floyd family been through some stuff and some street stuff. And these kids, they're like some Disney kids who grew up in a, well affluent families and, had a certain kind of upbringing and they made their star power based off of YouTube. So for me, it's like I'm glad he was banned. Yeah, some people might feel that, oh, they try to add more to the fight to make it more exciting and stuff like that. But if I was Floyd, I'd be mad too. You saw his hair was looking, that joint looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Hairline looking crazy. He looking like KD at the top, and this kid playing around. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, Hollister, he did get a black eye. Like I think one of the security guards kind of like snuffed him, and he's walking around like, "I got your hat," and it's like, he's tweeting on Twitter like, "If I die, just know that it's off of because of a hat." And like you said, he just made it worse for his older brother. And it's like, you got to understand, there's levels. You fought, you know what I'm saying, YouTubers who ain't that gangster, ain't professional athletes and stuff like that. You fought Nate Robinson, who clearly didn't spar and train for real. You fought Ben Askren, and there was rumors and rumbling saying that they actually paid him to take a dive and to make him look that way, so they had to give some extra money. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be embarrassed like that for no bread. But
for him, he got like 650,000 for that fight.
Yeah, but then somebody said that they gave him some money under the table to take the dive. And this guy named Dylan Dennis, who's supposed to fight Jake Paul before, and he's like Conor McGregor, like training one of like jiu-jitsu partners, and he's supposed to fight him. And he said, I know for a fact that they paid Ben Askren, the person who paid him. I know that guy, and he told me that he took a dive. Be that as it may, you fight Ben Askren, who's an MMA professional, who not known for his striking, and you knock him out, and you win the fight. So to me, you got your mind twisted, you gassed up, and you want to mess with Usman. Like Usman is a dog, son. Like, he's a guy, you put pictures of him and his daughter, like you taking things to a level where when real dudes and real fighters look at it, you can get yourself hurt. This is not like a marketing thing. Like, people can see you in the street and hurt you for real. So he needs to chill. I mean, his brother gonna get this work anyway, but it's like that whole thing. I'm glad he got roughed up a little bit. I hope somebody really check him. Like, he needs to be checked, and I hope Tyron Woodley eventually gets to fight him, and we'll see what happens.
Well, based on what they said yesterday about Jake Paul being kicked out and not being able to attend the fight, proves that this was not staged, because he's a known figure now, and he would draw money just being there. Because, he could have been there and they could have said, well, let's bring him in the ring after, and this is the beginning of him challenging Floyd after he beats Logan. It could have been a setup like that. But by him being banned, that proves that this was not staged. And the way Floyd looked yesterday when all of this happened, he didn't look like he was pretending to be angry, like when he was doing the stuff with Conor McGregor and a lot of other fights he's had in the past. This looked real legit. He looked real angry. That's why his security jumped. You never really see his security jump in on his face-offs or anything like that. And for that to happen there, and for like Jake Paul to actually be assaulted like that, deservedly, it shows that this was not staged. Like, he got a legit black eye. Like, you're not staging a black eye. Not staging any of that stuff. And he deserved what he got, because he has to understand, just because you beat Nate Robinson and whoever this Ben, whatever his name is, don't mean that you're a professional fighter. You never fought a real fighter. I don't acknowledge anything he's done. I don't acknowledge anything his brother's done, but at least his brother went in there and fought a real pro fight that he lost. But at least he did that. And I think that his brother looked a little worried. He was upset that his brother got hit, but at the same time, he looked kind of worried, like, listen, man, Jake need to chill out, because this could mess up my money. You never know. This could have ruined. Floyd could have probably been like, listen, man, and this fight is off, man. It's out of there. A lot of people. There was a Floyd before that, Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's who you saw yesterday running around talking about he gonna kill somebody. That was Floyd That was Pretty Boy Floyd. I bring that up to people all the time. Floyd had 2 careers. He had Pretty Boy Floyd when he used to knock you out, and then he had Money Mayweather where he just fought distance and with no power and just wanted with haircut and all that, with no haircut and everything. But like he's still about that. Like a lot of people don't get that. They see the money and they just think, oh, he's instant little, he's a little guy. He's just a little guy. You see when they were faced off as first and they were talking trash and he's like, "Look, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen." That was for show. But then when he touched him, that's when he hit it just went from 0 to 60 real quick with him. So it's fine to go about his business. This is the problem with people with Jake Paul. See, Jake Paul's feeling himself because he's challenging these people and they're responding to him. The best way to shut him up is to just ignore him because he's trying to get money. He's trolling these guys. And if he just sits there, if you sit there and bait, get into it, next thing you know, he's making a 6-figure deal, 7-figure deal to fight somebody he don't got no business being in the ring with. If I'm Floyd, I fight Logan, get this over with the charity, the exhibition, and tell Jake Paul go find some we'll play a fight again. Don't give this guy the satisfaction in putting money in his pocket because clowns like this don't deserve it. It's guys on the street or something. Just forget about him.
We see the thing about it. I agree with you. But the thing about it is like these cats already have bread. Now, granted, they're making more money. They're businessmen. They made their money off the internet. They had family members who were rich. They grew up in a rich, environment. However, I think people like him only get humbled when they get rocked and they jaw broke. So my thing is that I agree with you 100%. I don't think that Floyd would be about doing something like that and allowing him to do that. And I know some people showed a video clip when him and Conor was going to do their media tour, and you see Conor sunning him and touching his head and stuff like that. And people say, oh, he didn't react like that to Conor because he knew that Conor's a real fighter and Conor could kill him and all that. But that's nah, that's different.
But here's the thing. The thing. That to me was staged. That to me, their whole back and forth, that was for show. Because remember, Conor's a showman too. Floyd didn't have to. A lot of people don't understand. Stephen A. Smith brought this up a long time ago with Floyd. The thing that frustrated Floyd in fights is that
he had to carry it.
He was the personality. He had to carry everything, and he loved the fact that Conor was that other big mouth that can talk people into the seats or talk people into buying the pay-per-view. Yeah. And also, Conor's a real fighter. He does not respect Jake Paul. I understand what people are saying. They're trying to say, okay, yeah, you did that to Jake, but Conor's about that, and he could have twisted him in 3 different ways. Yeah, I get it, but just remember, he respects the fact that Conor is a legit fighter. He look at Jake Paul, some dude on the street that got some fame. So when a person like that does something like that, it's more disrespectful than something like Conor touching his head or something like that.
No, I get that
it's
too.
more of like those. That's why you hear him yelling, "Don't ever disrespect me." Like he don't respect him.
Yeah. My thing is like with Jake Paul and them, it's just like it just rubs you a different way. And I agree with you to a certain extent with that. Like, he does value Conor as a fighter. Conor was a top fighter in his sport. So I get all that. My thing is that with Jake Paul and them is like, for him, it's like the snatching of the hat. I remember when Menelik, before he became Spider-Man, a kid did that to him when we was in elementary school. And this cat chased this dude down to yoke him up because it gets to a point when people try to do like this kind of like bullying, borderline, like, high school, junior high school, elementary school type of like, dominance. You have to really show out. And like I said, people like Jake Paul, he's a sociopath. So he doesn't have any empathy for nobody else. He only thinks about himself. Hence, he didn't care about his brother's situation. He thinks that he's the better boxer than his brother, athlete than his brother. And screw Logan. Logan went to help his brother, but when them big boys, press Logan, he made it look like, I can't help you. But it is what it is. And he also tell you like, like he's funny, like his brother did it, but at the same time, it's like brother stealing his shine. So I think it's inevitable. I think Floyd
Also,
get him. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, also remember too, is a difference. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me,
Yeah, we
right?
hear you.
Yeah, no. Also remember too, is a difference with the Connor, because people comparing the Connor touching him and Jake.
Mhm.
Also remember, and I've noticed this with fights too. A lot of fighters don't like being touched,
Yeah.
but it's one thing when Conor McGregor is touching you, because that's who you're fighting. You weren't fighting Jake Paul. I think if Logan would have did that, he would have acted that way. That's not the guy he was fighting. He's not in the fight. He's not in the fight. Logan is. I think if Logan would have did that, he probably would have made a little scene with a scuffle. But the fact that, I'm not contractually obligated to fight you and you're touching me. Therefore,
Yeah, I
I
guess
feel
give to that.
like I have to respond. So that's another that I'm just, trying to put things together on what triggered him. Because that basically is something that we got to think about too. So a lot of people, they're gonna bring up the Conor thing, but just don't forget that it was Conor he was fighting. He wasn't fighting Jake. So a lot of boxers, a lot of times when a lot of skirmishes happen with fighters, it be because of the entourage. It don't be because of the actual fighters, and that's what brings up all the commotion and everything. So I think that was another thing too that got Floyd.
Yeah. I mean, look, I agree. I think that did get him a little tight. It's going to be a reckoning. You know what I mean? Hopefully Jake Paul actually fights somebody with some type of skill and who's seasoned, who can really put him in his place. Because if we continue to fight the dudes he fighting and picking them, it's going to always be more of the same. But yeah, I mean, it should be an interesting fight. Maybe we might be away when it's on, so we should be able to catch it. Hopefully, if not, we'll see it on the Bleacher Report. But still talking about fighting, supposed to be a UFC card tonight. Pretty not that strong, but I might still check it out. It's a couple of fights that got messed up. Angela Hill, she was supposed to fight tonight, but now the person she's fighting has COVID, and Cerrone and all those guys are fighting. But it's still along the lines with Diego and his situation. It's starting to get a little bit more interesting in regards to his beef with the UFC, allegations between him and Fabia. It's just crazy, and it's kind of sad to still see. And I know we touched on that real quick. I just want to bring that full circle before we jump into the basketball stuff. So, as we all know, LeBron recently said that whoever came up with the playing game needs to be fired. And we all know that the reason why he's saying that is because the Los Angeles Lakers are now in a situation where they have to play in that playing game. So I just want to get you guys' opinions on it, and then I'm gonna go. So Menelik, Hollister, Tyrone, and myself. Go ahead.
So yeah, so with that whole LeBron thing, I definitely feel it's a result of him being in the situation that he's in now, and a combination also with this season and this year. So yeah, because they had to have a little more condensed of a season, it feels like there's it's tacking on extra stuff to it.
Yeah.
But also he's looking at it like, yo, like they went from, being the first or second seed, no later than the third seed probably, to now being in a position where their playoff hopes ride on one game pretty much.
Yeah.
So, and the frustration between AD being hurt, him being hurt, them going from being championship favorites to now there's a chance they ain't even gonna make the playoffs, and then I think it just really came to head. And there's a couple of other players mentioned stuff too, because previously he was saying it was a good idea when it was the bubble. It was a little different because they had more time off, and then it wasn't as compact, I guess. But yeah, it definitely is. I feel like frustration boiling over given the current situation him and his team is in.
See this as being another reason I guess it might be something more that we don't know. his injury could be more, severe than we know. But I feel like this is part of his excuse. Like, oh, if the Lakers don't win the championship, oh, the team fell apart or this or that. He probably realizing that his team is not that good to begin with. Honestly, they're not. Who he's missing? Dwight Howard, Rondo. Those were key pieces from last year. JaVale McGee. You don't have those pieces this year. Now you see what the team really is about. And I also feel like he's using it as an excuse. And he said whoever came up with the playing tournament idea should be fired. Stephen A said that the NBA and the NBPA agreed to it. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't he a part of the NBPA, the Players Association?
Yeah,
so he had, some saying it. And last year when they was winning, he wasn't complaining about it. Early this year when it was first, second, or third place, he wasn't crying about it. Now that you're seventh place, you're gonna have a hard time to even try to get to the finals if they could. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. You got to worry about the playing tournament. Then you got to worry about whoever you played in. Then you got to worry about Denver. Then you got to worry about all these other teams. You got Phoenix, Utah. They all playing good. They're in big trouble, and who knows what he's gonna pull next? How he like to pull a card or get traded or trade the whole team and this and that. Just the other day, he was on the bench texting. He was probably texting Rob Pelinka to trade this person in the offseason and try to get this one. Who knows what he's doing, but it's not looking good for them this year at all.
Yeah.
Well, I know who he was texting. It was the Wile E. Coyote. If you guys saw Shaq in the Fool Up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
It was Wile E. Coyote. But I honestly think that it's a fair playing to pay. Everybody's complaining about it because they're in it now. And they're like, holy crap, we might be the ones playing this player in games. So now all of a sudden everybody's complaining. He's not the only one. Luka Doncic did it. Mark Cuban did it when they were 7. Now you don't hear them talking no more. So now LeBron is the latest to complain about it. Listen, it is what it is. Your team is supposedly good enough. It shouldn't matter what seed you are. It shouldn't matter what seed you are. I think he's a little more hurt than what, like we said, these ankle injuries, they can linger. And what did he do? He played 2 games when he came back and he looked like he hurt something again. It happens. You have these ankle injuries and you could as much as like move your leg the wrong way and it's going to be hurt you again for another couple of weeks. So he has to really like rest up and get healthy. But at the same time, the team's struggling and they've fallen in the standings. So he's looking at it like, damn, they're playing like if he was number 7 and there was no playing game, it's like, okay, we still can make it in and we'll have a 7-game series. But now with the playing game, you have to win 2 games. And, that's going to be a big issue for them because they really are struggling. And there's teams that's very hungry at that bottom of the pile there. And yeah, maybe the team is a little bit weaker than they were last year. So I'm not going to kill him too much on it because he wasn't the first one to complain about it. So I'm not going to really kill him on it. But yeah, these guys are they're only complaining because they're in that situation now. But it's not fair to just get on him about it because Luka did it and Mark Cuban and I was on them about the same thing. It's like, okay, you guys only complain about that when you're 7. Complain about it when you're the 3rd seed or the 2nd seed. Don't complain about it when you're 7 and 8. So we'll see. I don't think they're gonna be in the playing game, honestly. I think they'll tough out a couple of games there and get out of that. And then all will be good for them. All will be.
So I agree with y'all. I mean, my thing is that if you're gonna complain about it, you should have been complaining at the beginning. My only issue, and like I said, I'm not saying it's only LeBron, but I'm just saying that when people have these conversations about GOATs and Jordan, and as you can see behind me, it's like he and Kobe and those guys, they never really complained about the circumstance they played. I kind of personally like the idea of a playing game because now it forces these teams to take the regular season more seriously. Because if you have to be in that 7 to 10 range, you're like, hey, I don't want to be in that predicament. I want to be in the top 5, at least top 6. So I'm chilling. I don't have to worry about no playing game. And I feel that that's why the NBA is doing it. And the players are the ones to blame because they sitting out these games. They don't really care about the regular season. There's no energy put into it. So a lot of times these teams is like, all right, we're gonna sit these guys. We're not gonna stress it. We're gonna, as long as we in the top eight, we're gonna make it. And now it's either they're gonna do this or they're gonna do the top 16 across the board, and people don't like that. So you got to give and take. I feel bad for LeBron. You know, injuries suck. The man is 36 years old. He's getting older. It's not going to get any easier, especially the load he has to carry. However, this is the team you built. This is the team you wanted. Unfortunately, the team is not producing, and not everybody and their moms want to come play with you. So this is where legacy, this is where that championship grit will be shown. If you guys are the defending champions, y'all saying y'all the ones to come out the West, you talk about you the greatest of all time and you beat this legacy team, then you got to go out there and show the world why you that dude. You know what I'm saying? So there's a part of me that feel bad for him, but there's a part of me that's like, nah. You know what I'm saying? You made that bed, you got to lie in it. And your fans, like I'm a fan of LeBron, but I'm not a super duper LeBron fan. They made this more difficult for you because they all up on their whole situation, making all the excuses in the world for your shortcomings. So we'll see what happens. I know there were some teams coming up there, like look, the Golden State Warriors. I think they're in that range. You got Memphis, Portland. I think Portland might have moved up more.
Yeah, Portland moved up. San Antonio's in that.
Yeah, you would have had the Pelicans, but now Zion out, because that's another quick thing I want to talk about. So I'm gonna segue to that. Zion is a big dude, and he's been getting hit, getting hammered. David Griffin just recently went out on a rant, going on officials saying like, "Yo, y'all not calling these things. This kid is getting beat," and I can attest to having that feeling on a smaller scale because I'm a big guy, and when I play ball in my league, dudes would hit me and grab me, and the referees would swallow the whistle because they be like, "Oh, he a big dude, you can take it." Like, nah. And if I lower my shoulder into their chest and do like a move, they call an offensive fouls on me. So I feel for him. And we already know he's like semi-injury prone. He's been all right this year, but the officiating and different things like that have been kind of shaky this year, man. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed. So I want to get your opinion on that, and then we can move forward.
Yeah, so I do agree too. Like with Zion, right? He is a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he got a certain level of just stature and power. So a lot of times they, you know, back in the day with Shaq, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shaq used to get hit a lot, abused and stuff like that. But because he was so big, he would like kind of somewhat brush it off. So it didn't seem like it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And you have these kind of situations like that. And Zion too, he's a cool dude. He chill, he respectful, he just focused, and he just try to play his game and do what he got to do. I know it was that play earlier in the year too, where I think it was to tie the game or something like that. And he got fouled kind of hard by, I forgot who it was, and they didn't call it. And then the league came out like I think a couple of days later when they do their review, and they were like, "Oh, he did get fouled" or something like that. So, you know, I definitely think that is another one of those kind of cases where because he is big and because he doesn't carry on a certain way and he could take some of that stuff, that he probably don't get as much calls as, you know, he should be.
Yeah, which is unfair. It's like, because, you know what I mean? Just because he can take it and he's strong, that don't mean that you should allow it to happen. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Alistair.
I think so. I agree. I wish, you know, he wasn't getting, you know, hurt like that, but it's part of the game. And I wish, you know, that wasn't affecting his injuries. But I feel like Zion needs to, you know, take his aggressiveness, you know, bring it out more because, yeah, he doesn't complain to the referees and stuff. But sometimes you gotta say a little something to them so they can, you know, I guess the referees in a sense might not respect him on that level yet. Like, all right, like how they expect LeBron, KD, Steph, and those guys. He might not be on that level yet with the referees, but I think he needs to bring out his aggressiveness more because he's a big dude. He's strong. He goes, you know, body the guys around, which I think he should look into doing. Maybe next season he might do that. I know he's a cool, calm, collective guy, but you got to bring that out sometimes, because if you don't, they're gonna just look at him like a little kid. Like, all right, they look at him already like, oh, he's being babied already by the NBA, not by the NBA so much, but the popularity. But you got to bring that out. Hopefully, that will help him elevate his game, and hopefully, I just wish he stayed healthy. The injuries last year, now this year, it's part of the game. But I hope he's healthy moving forward with his career, because he's a great player.
But yeah, it's like, my thing is that some of these injuries could have been avoided if the NBA and officials, took those things seriously. Like, he recently, right now, suffered a broken finger. So now he's out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you got to protect your assets. If Zion is supposed to be the future of the league and stuff like that, you got to protect him. You got to make sure that he's straight. And I feel that, the NBA is already struggling when it comes to viewership and people caring, and to lose a heavy hitter like Zion, it kind of sucks, because I'm pretty sure not only the Pelican fan base, but people who fan of basketball was probably interested. Like, yo, let's see if Zion can get in a playing game, see how exciting it could be him being in the playing game. So I don't know, but yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, he's been getting beat up a little bit lately throughout the season, honestly. It's kind of like the Shaq treatment, but let's not forget also, and I know people look at Zion as one of the faces of the league and everything like that, but don't forget, he's only in his second year in the NBA. He hasn't really earned the respect of the whistle like a lot of veterans do. I understand he does get hit a lot. A lot of players get hit a lot, but let's not forget, he's only in his second year. I know he's Zion, but we also got to take that into consideration also. I'm not saying y'all wrong about what's happening to him. Sometimes we've seen nowadays everybody foul, and get that. A lot of times we forget that rookies got to earn their stripes. The refs are not going to give them anything, even if you're a talented rookie like Zion is. He's only in his second year, and let's just see, in about 2-3 years, he's going to get those calls. He's going to be averaging 10, 12 free throws a game. So I think everybody should. David Griffin is basically protecting his player since he's the GM. So I respect that, and you never know. Next year may be that year where the referees say, you know what, let's blow that whistle for him. He's in his third year. Let's give it to him. So that's how I really see it. I see it more as, okay, he's only in his second year, and they're letting him listen, young fella, you ain't earned the years yet to get that whistle yet.
I mean, I kind of see that, but like, and this could be an open forum for all of us. It's like, look, a foul is a foul. Now, I don't expect you to get those kind of 50-50 calls. Like, if you drive to the basket and the person is kind of in the restricted or maybe not, and you want them to get that and one, stuff like that, I agree with you. You got to earn that. But to me, I seen this kid getting hit hard, brought to the ground, getting hit in the head, a foul is a foul, whether you're a rookie or you're a veteran. I feel, I know, yes, there's some moments where like the star players will get a little bit more of a rub, but at the same time, I'm like, look, it needs to be some more consistency. I feel that, players like him and other players going through that process is not right. I think, like I said, a foul is a foul. You know what I'm saying? Like 50-50 calls, yeah, you ain't earned that yet to get me the benefit of the doubt on your behalf. But if I see somebody getting slapped, I see somebody getting hit hard, that's what I'm talking about. Because what happens is you give people a green light, and they're going to start being more rough with them, and he can suffer a severe injury. Now, right now, he broke his fractured ring finger on his left hand. He's a lefty. He is like the main guy on the Pelicans, and now the Pelicans' shot of making it any playing game or something of relevancy is over. And it's only like maybe 6, maybe 7 more games to the regular season before the playoffs start.
Yeah,
so even if he were to get better, he's not going to play anymore anyway. So he's done for the year. So it's kind of like takes away some of the excitement. So that's what I'm saying.
And
it's pretty.
Yeah.
it's pretty much over, but they were down in the standings. They weren't really coming back. They weren't coming back. They were struggling later on in the season. So even regardless, even when they were playing with them, I think they were like 3 games out of 10th anyway. So, you know, they weren't really coming on strong. They did have a lot of injuries because Lonzo missed some time. Josh Hart
actually 11th place now.
Steve. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're 3 games out of San Antonio. That's not a little bit with 6 games, 7 games left. That's it's kind of a lot. And the Spurs are being tough. The Spurs are a tough team, so you know.
It all depends on matchups.
They I get it. Yeah, no, they're not that good. The Pelicans are not ready yet. They're not ready yet. A lot of people expected them to ascend compared to last year, but you could tell they're not ready yet. That team is still missing. They're still missing something. They still don't have that solid vet. Steven Adams would be surprised that they may miss the play yet. You know, their time will come. The West is a tough conference, man. That just shows you how tough it is. Look at that talent on New Orleans, and they can't even get in a playing game.
Nah, I get that. Get it. But like I said, they lost a couple of games that they could have won. And I mean, I'm not saying that they should be there yet. My thing is that there's certain things that I feel that, yes, it's on you to win a game. It's on you to try to make sure you put yourself in a position to win. But I feel that having bad officiating doesn't help the matter. Like I remember playing in my little small, or corporate league, and like there's some games that we lost because of bad officiating, and there's some games we just lost because we just didn't play well that day. So I'm coming from that perspective. But I do feel that this year and after this year, there's a lot of teams that surprised us. Like Boston Celtics is trash this year. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks, they're not even in the playing game. They up there doing their thing. They're not even in the playing game. So there's a lot of new things coming in, and it's really changing the field. So we'll see what happens. Go ahead, Allison.
We got to give credit to Russell Westbrook. He's 1 triple-double away from tying Oscar Robertson for the record. He's actually 3 rebounds and 3 assists away from tying the record as we speak. That man is
He's going to do that tonight.
Incredible for that. Yep.
I want to give him props for that. And I want to ask you guys a quick question as we close. So if you guys want to give your congratulatory, spiel, y'all go ahead. And then I'll ask a question to the panel.
Man, like Hollister said, shout out to Westbrook. Congrats on what he's doing. As he said, and other people have said, it's not as easy as it seems. I know there's sometimes, the allegations of, stat stuffing and this and that, but even with that kind of stuff, it's still hard to do. And all his teammates, his opponents, everybody will tell you when he on that court, he gives it his all. He's out there trying to win. He don't take plays off. Whether that always translates into the end goal of a championship or not, he still goes out there and he plays it and he gives it his all. And it really translates. And, I think I saw something where they were saying, AI was saying that that's his favorite player and stuff like that. So, he got the respect from a lot of people for a reason too. Once again, we would like to see him win more and do all that other kind of stuff, but it don't take away from what he has been doing and continues to do, and he's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer.
So real quick to the panel. In this basketball group that I'm in on Facebook, somebody posted a question. Does Russell Westbrook care about winning or stats more? And I know you kind of alluded to that, Manelik. I'm just going to say something real quick. I do believe that he wants to win. But I feel that in his mind now, he is just happy with hooping and breaking these records. And some people might not like that, and some people might not care. And as great as a player he is, and the accolades that he's getting, and the teammate that he is, there is a part of me, and I said this about James Harden before he came to the Nets, was that there's some dudes who are content with individual accolades and showing that they're nice. And there's others who understand like the ghosts they're chasing, whether it's Michael, Kobe, Wilt, Magic, the greats before them. So in my honest opinion, I think that Russell Westbrook is content with just being a great player who has great stats. And if he get a ring, he get a ring. So what do you guys think about that? And then we can wrap it from there.
All right, since I was talking before, I'll just do real quick and then y'all could go. So I was just gonna say I do think it's a combination of both. I see where you're coming from, where I do think that he does want to win. Like, you don't want to be not making the playoffs every year, losing every game, not competing. But I do think that, yeah, a part of him probably looks at it like, yo, I'm not on no super team, or I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. If I'm not going to win a championship, then I want to get mine and hoop and enjoy the game and just go out there and try to compete. But I'm not going to make that my complete focus of championship, championship, championship. So I think he does want to win, but yeah, not on the level where, some people would do anything almost to try to get a championship. I don't think he's that guy, but I do think he does want to win. But yeah, a part of him is on that kind of like, yo, if I don't see myself in a situation where I could realistically win, then I'm gonna get mine and I'm gonna go out there and ball hoop, and it's gonna come to me, and I'm gonna make my legacy that way, because it's not only about championships.
Yeah, I don't think he's really worried about winning. I think he's more like, all right, I'm going to go out there, give him my all every night, no matter what. I feel like I feel like if they build a team, like, all right, then he might be like, okay, you know what, let's go out there and win it. But I don't think he cares about winning right now. Maybe later in his career, he might think about it like, you know what, I did all of these already. I won MVP. I'm about to have the triple double record. Let me go out there and try to get one. But I don't think he's really worried about that. He's just worried about, like Malik said, putting up his stats, building his legacy, to hopefully, putting his resume so he could be in the Hall of Fame one day. I think he's more concerned about that. I don't think he really cares about a championship right now, because Westbrook is not that kind of guy to be like, all right, to sacrifice too much to win a championship or go on a super team and play with these other guys to do that, because we all know Russell Westbrook is a hothead and he's gonna do what he want to do regardless, no matter what.
Okay, Tom.
I honestly think that he wants both. I think he wants his numbers and he wants to win. There's no one that could tell me that Russell Westbrook doesn't want to win. He wants to win. And I think that a lot of things he doesn't look like winning basketball, but he tries his best. You can't deny his effort. You gotta ask yourself too, look at the type of teams he's been on since Kevin Durant left. It wasn't like he left KD. They had a championship contending team there. They made it to a finals before. They were one game from winning against the Golden State Warriors and make it to a second finals. Who knows? They could have probably won a championship if James Harden never left and Serge Ibaka was still there with KD. And who knows if they win that game 7 or win any game when they were up 3-1 on Golden State, what they could have done. Since Kevin Durant left, basically had to lead them in every statistical category. He had nobody on the team. People talk about LeBron James and certain teams he's been on, but look at the team Russell Westbrook had when he was in OKC those last couple of years. He goes to Houston. It didn't work out with James Harden after 1 year. Struggled early, coming on now. This is what people thought the Wizards was going to see. I don't think that Russell I don't think his mindset is, I don't care about a championship. That man wants to win. And he's proven it in his younger days. He tries his best. So I don't see it as him being selfish and just wanting to. Now, don't get me wrong, he do go after his numbers, but that man wants to win. So I honestly think that it's both. He does want his numbers, yes, but I think he would trade those numbers for wins and a championship. So let's everybody gives him they give him a raw deal sometimes, but just think about the teams he were on. He did have Paul George. He did have Paul George that year and a half with Melo, but that wasn't a good mesh of players and stuff like that. So let's see what him and Beal could do next year with a healthy Thomas Bryant and some of those other young guys they have there. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to come across and saying like, I think Russell Westbrook is like a Chuck or a guy who just doesn't care. But I look at it from the perspective is like, you made a good point. His teams weren't as strong after KD left. But why KD left? You know what I'm saying? Why some of the players that he played with, they might sway up and down how much of a great teammate he is, but there's something missing there where they can't win it together. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at that same Oklahoma City team, they end up getting, Chris Paul, and they actually played a lot better than they did when they had Russ. So my thing is like, Russ, I think he's figuring it out now, but he has always been a guy who want to win, but based on his way of winning and not doing what it takes to win. If that means you off this game, I got to defer to the next guy. I don't see him doing that as much. Now he's starting to do a little bit more because he got Beal and stuff like that. But when he was with KD, it was the same kind of concept. And when KD left, it kind of proved that, he was, that guy that kind of took him and put him over the hump. So like I said, there's no disrespect to Russ. I think he's a great player. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Hell, he's on my
I'll bring it to a next plateau, but I can
when it comes to the pattern that I see with him, with other stars, and just in general when it comes to developing that winning formula, it's something about his style of play that doesn't attribute to like high levels of winning. You'll win games, you'll win accolades, but when it comes to championship, I don't see his skill set taking a team if he's the sole guy or one of the main guys to the championship. Because if you put him on the Nets probably would not be as good as they are now, to be honest with you. If you switch him and James Harden. No disrespect to Russ. So it's like, I feel there's something missing there. And I think it's a personality thing where it's like, you have to say, you know what? In order for these guys to be better, in order for these guys to be ready, I have to change up what I'm doing. And I think we even seen that. I know we like to reference The Last Dance a lot, but even Mike, he had to learn. I can still score my 20, my 30, but if I don't get these other dudes involved, feeling like a certain kind of way, I'm not gonna work. And I know people say, he's getting all these assists and stuff like that, but like I said, it's changing now. But in the beginning, it was like, I'm trapped. I throw you the ball and you happen to make a basket. You know what I'm saying? It was like one of those things. But this is my opinion. No disrespect to him. I'm gonna wrap it. Y'all can feel free to jump in while I'm doing the outro if y'all have something else to say. But we're trying something new. This time we're using a different platform to do the recording. Hopefully it comes out pretty good. I want to thank you guys again for watching and listening to the podcast. I want to thank Hollister, Tyrone, Spider-Man for joining us this evening. We trying to build the platform. Eventually we're going to start doing a little bit more than just sports. Maybe like reviews on different things, but we'll talk about that on another time. But please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And it really does help a lot. I really do appreciate that. So please enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great day, and God bless.